Hello and welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to Wednesday's edition of the dceu Daily. Remember, you can be part of this show. Just contact me over on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, making video suggestions, article suggestions, anything you want, and I'll also give you a shout out. So what is the future of the DC Extended Universe, the DCEU? Well, this is where it's all very exciting. But first we need to look back at how the most unique franchise of all time is even still going. How has it made records and records of hundreds of millions of global box office? You see, at some point WB felt, get rid of Snyder and everything will be okay. But of course, getting rid of Snyder would only make things worse. There were two decisions to be made after BVS as far as I'm concerned. Either you get rid of Snyder and you start from scratch, or you keep Snyder. You see, it's very interesting what happened during David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Warner Brothers cut that film to pieces and put out their own version, and then that film made nearly 800 million. They thought this was the way to go. Maybe we can get rid of Snyder. Maybe we can do this again. And maybe we can redefine the DC Extended Universe without going back and starting again. So ultimately, when BVS finished, they were still happy to allow Snyder to do his Justice League. But not two movies, one movie. And they wanted him and Chris Terrio to water down their original scripts. But it was very, very quickly obvious to Warner Brothers Pictures that Snyder was determined to do what he wanted to do. And he did go back and water down his script, but not enough for them. So ultimately, they drove him off the picture. They drove him off the franchise. They thought, this is great. We did it once with Suicide Squad. We can do it again. So they did. They did it with Justice League. They took his movie. They brought someone else on like Joss Whedon. People were quite excited. Now, not the Snyder fans, of course, but even I, a lover of MOS and BVS, thought to myself, well, maybe this is for the best. Zack's done two great movies. Maybe this is the next step, the logical next step. Joss Whedon running the franchise from now on. Now, this is a big, disloyal admittance, confession from me, but this is how I felt at the time, because I just wanted these films to be successful. And I was just sick and tired of us being behind the MCU and all the controversy and the divisiveness of the whole situation. Little did I know, when they brought Whedon in, they were just literally going to get him to reshoot and rewrite elements of the movie rather than doing his own thing. Because as I said before, years ago, and I say all the time on my videos, if Whedon was allowed to do his own thing, I think they would have got away with it. In fact, if Paramount Pictures allowed Cavill's moustache to be cut off, they would have got away with it. If they actually had time to do good CGI instead of the rush shit they did. In fact, if you want to teach people how to do good VFX, just show them Justice League, show them how not to do it. Or should I say Justice League, so we don't get confused with what's coming next year on HBO Max. So they thought, get rid of Snyder, we're golden. $1 billion for Justice League, a few smiles here or there, that's all that's needed. We don't need to go back to the beginning and create our own vision if we get rid of Snyder. No, let's not do that. Let's rush the movie out at the same release date that Zack was going to release his movie on. We've rewritten it, we've got a few gags, the colour palette's not so dark, it's going to be fine. But it wasn't fine, because when Justice League released, it bombed in the global and US box office, bringing 650 million global. Now, 600 million would be great for most movies, but not the MCU and not the DCEU, not for a Justice League movie. Because, of course, we'd already had one Avengers movie that made so much money. In fact, I think we had the second one before. Did we have the second one before Justice League came out? I can't remember. Anyway, with Avengers Assemble doing so well, DC and WB were under pressure to equal that box office or to do better and to, execute a much better film. They did neither. You see, the difference between Justice League and Man of Steel and BVS, Man of Steel and BVS created conversation, whether that was positive or negative conversation. Basically, if you did an opinion poll on who loves and hates MOS and who loves and hates BVS, it's split down the middle. That's what it is. So I've seen lots of verified people on Twitter hate on Snyder, but I've also seen loads of verified people on Twitter love what Snyder did with his Snyderverse for the DCEU. So it's split down the middle. There was conversation. There was debates. There were arguments. This is exactly what you want, of course. There wasn't much of a debate when Justice League came out. The only conversation was, how much would the final box office be and would the DCEU be rebooted? That really wasn't the conversation when MOS and BVS came out. Yeah, there was grumblings with pundits saying, oh, well, you know, Man of Steel took so long to get 200 million domestic box office. Ultimately, it made just shy of 700 million. You know, at that time, it was equally the most successful superhero origin movie ever made. Before the other MCU movies made it a habit of making $1 billion a picture for a superhero origin movie. But MOS was up there in the records, right? No question about that. But Warner Brothers wanted $1 billion. And this is why we didn't get a Man of Steel 2 straight away. And we had a compromise, which basically was a Man of Steel 2, but they kind of went with other elements. So then BVS did okay at the box office. In fact, the opening weekend was historical, record-breaking. But the shortfall in the second and third weeks, right, the drop-offs, as they call them, were terrible. Terrible. And you can't rewrite history. That's the way it is. And as much as I love Snyder and MOS and BVS, I can't pretend that the public were going back and back. People were going back to watch it, but not enough. So ultimately, it made about 900 million at the global box office. Pretty solid. But again, if you're putting Batman and Superman on the screen together, you would look like, really, you would be looking for Force Awakens money, as you would be for a Justice League movie, right? And so basically, they made one movie, Man of Steel. It divided people. They made another one, BVS. It divided people. So Suicide Squad was deemed as a mess, but people deemed it as an entertaining mess. I don't think even that horrible editing and the rewriting and the redeveloping they did of Suicide Squad, because that's certainly not David's film, I actually think that's an okay movie. And I can actually still sit there and say, okay, it's kind of part of Zack's plan. All right, they massacred it, right? But it's still kind of a film. It's still kind of, you know, the characters are well defined. And it kind of works in what they're doing, right? Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And it made money. But for a third film in a row, it divided audiences. And, you know, Warner Brothers were thinking we need to get rid of Snyder. And we need to do what the MCU are doing. So they thought, get rid of Snyder, that's it. Getting rid of Snyder was their worst nightmare. And as I said earlier, if they just went back, rebooted everything, and I know it would have been a quick thing to do, but if they just redeveloped the franchise, started again with Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns, things would have been fine, right? There would have been a lot of fuss, Snyder fans still would have rose up, and Zack would have done what he did. Which is what Zack did was stand up, because something you've got to understand about Snyder, he loves DC. And once he got making these movies, it was in his veins. He wasn't going to give it up without a fight. And he didn't. The reason we're getting Zack Snyder's Justice League, yeah, we can talk about fan campaigns, blah-de-blah-de-blah, but without Zack posting all the stuff he did on Vera, there would be no fan campaigns. He manipulated the whole thing. Because as I said, he wasn't going to give up without a fight. And that's the thing. So Zack manipulated this whole thing, and he'll never admit that. Oh, you know, I thought we'd never see my Justice League movie, you know, if it wasn't for the fans. But he knows full well he manipulated the whole situation. This is not me saying this is a negative. I'd say this is the greatest achievement in Hollywood history. No one has taken these studios to account before and been able to manipulate a fan campaign at this very level. So now Snyder's back. Now, against all the odds, he's back. It's amazing. And the climate and the environment and the atmosphere has changed in Hollywood. Half because of the fan campaign that got the Snyder Cut to be released, but secondly because of the bear bug, or whatever you want to call it. YouTube don't like us using the name, but F it, I'm not monetized. COVID-19 has changed things forever. And Warner Brothers were very, very quick to adapt to the pandemic. And, you know, DC fandom shows how adaptive they have been. So yes, what is the future of the DCEU? Now, I want us to get through this pandemic, because I think, and I do want movie theatres to be part of the future of filmmaking, but I also want it to be shared with streaming services as well. What that does is give a very exciting future to the platform. Much more exciting than what's happening at the MCU. Yeah, they're doing movies. They're very popular and they make $1 billion a picture. Yeah, you know, they're going to do X-Men and Fantastic Four and people are going to be hyped about that. There's nothing we can do about that. But what's really exciting about the DCEU is their slate. Even if you don't talk about a potential Man of Steel 2, J.J. Abrams' Superman, because that's not official yet. Wonder Woman 84 this Christmas. The Batman 2022. Black Adam, who knows when that will be released now, right? You just look at the slate. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad hasn't been delayed, by the way. It's still coming next year. That could be the only DC movie out next year. Am I wrong about that? Because we don't know what's going to happen with Black Adam. I'm going to assume that Black Adam may not hit next year, but let's see what they can do, right? But at this moment in time, unless I'm wrong and I'm missing a film, it looks like that James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is the only one we're going to see. But we're also going to see Peacemaker. So next year will be another dead year to a point. But you still got James Gunn's The Suicide Squad and you still got Peacemaker. So what is the future of this franchise? The future of this franchise is streaming and cinematic. Now, what we saw at DC Fandom was a very concise announcement that Crisis on Infinite Earths, the crossover for the Arrowverse, was the beginning, was the origin story for Walter Hamada's and Jim Lee's multiverse strategy. That is, in fact, the future of the DC Extended Universe. This allows them to bring in directors to do their own self-contained stories, but it also allows movies like Flashpoint to cross over with Arrowverse, with movies that are long gone and forgotten from the DC universe. Superman the movie, Superman Returns, you know, Nick Cage's Superman that we never saw and potentially we could see in Flashpoint. You know, Michael Keaton's Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman. And there's so much more crossovers that you can't even imagine right now. So it's a good future. It's an exciting future. And over on HBO Max, you have Zack Snyder's Justice League universe. Zack Snyder's Justice League will hit next year. But that's just the beginning for the Snyderverse. I said before, of course he's going to say, I'll take it or leave it. If I get more, I get more. If I don't, I don't. Of course he's going to say that. But this is in Zack's blood. Zack wants more. And I believe Zack will get more. Not just with his Justice League, with Ben Affleck's The Batman that we never saw, that we should have saw. You know, Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke, he could have his own origin limited series. Lex Luthor could have his own limited series. There's so much you can do. And just for the fact that they've brought back Leto for Zack Snyder's Justice League, just for a little bit, means there's a future in that universe over on HBO Max. So you've got television. You've got the central cinematic journey of Matt Reeves and probably J.J. Abrams. Two really big filmmakers. And then you've got people like James Gunn. Then you've got people like Zack Snyder working over at HBO Max. Not forgetting this exciting Green Lantern series or J.J. Abrams' Justice League Dark Universe as well. Wow. And we're getting Keanu Reeves Constantine movie, whether that's HBO Max or that's going to be a central cinematic movie, who knows? I would guess it will be released into movie theatres because it's Keanu Reeves, after all said and done, and he's an old-fashioned movie star, right? It's very, very exciting. And this really comes from the biggest thing that AT&T did when they assessed the whole DC movie and TV show thing, the whole franchise. The best thing they did is when they said to Jim Lee, we are going to put you front and centre, Jim. You are running this whole show, the comics, the movies, everything. You are the person who's in charge. We want you to work alongside Walter Hamada. Even though Walter has got a lot of experience in making films, he knows how to make films on a budget, we need someone else there. And there's nobody who knows DC more than Jim Lee. And the great thing is about, you know, as well as his great mind and his imagination and his art, Jim Lee loves DC and he wants to bring the comics to life. And this multiverse strategy does that. It's his baby. And it's an exciting thing because, as I say, it gives everyone what they want. So this year we've been on a pit stop, but this Christmas Day we will see Wonder Woman 84. The continuation of the DCEU. Don't forget, the DCEU, unlike the MCU, had Birds of Prey out in the beginning of the year, and they're going to have Wonder Woman out at the end of the year. The movies they wanted to release this year are going to be released. And that's fantastic, because that actually keeps them on schedule. Now, I know the Batman was supposed to be next year. Can't be helped. It's going to be in 2022, right? So we've got Shazam in 2023. We've still got Flashpoint at the end of 2022. So 2022 is going to be the big year, and I'm guessing that Black Adam will probably be in 2022 as well. Maybe that's why they had to move Shazam to 2023. So, as I say, again, correct me if I'm wrong down below, but it looks like we've only got James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. But that's better than nothing. And we've still got Peacemaker as well. So there's things going on. The pandemic delaying things can't be helped. That's not Warner Brothers' fault. It's just one of those things. But that's going to be big enough. That's going to blow up enough, seeing all the characters they've got in there. Like, you know, Margot Robbie reprising her Harley Quinn. And all the other characters. And this is going to be R-rated. And this is going to be very, very exciting. And so there's a lot of hype going on. And who knows what other news, who knows what else they can give us in 2021. We shall see. But actually, I'm a dumb idiot. Because next year is a big year for the DCEU, isn't it? Because not only have we got James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, over on HBO Max, we've got Zack Snyder's Justice League. I was forgetting all about that. So with those two kind of contents, right? You know, Zack Snyder's Justice League being a 4-part TV series, and let's hope quickly we can see in a kind of a movie in a movie as well on Blu-ray, maybe cinema releases. So next year is actually a massive year for the DC Extended Universe. I can't believe I forgot about Zack Snyder's Justice League. So the future of the DCEU is very exciting. It's a diverse future. It's a future full of variety and crossovers and standalone adventures. It's never been more exciting to be a DC fan. Comments down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon. Actually, I'm not going yet. I have something to show you. So first of all, I've got some pictures for you. Now, these are promotional pictures of Wonder Woman 1984. Doesn't she look fantastic? Then we have her running. Brilliant. Brilliant stuff there. She looks amazing, doesn't she? And then she's got her whip out. Now, yes, I can confirm, and it's already been confirmed, there is no sword for Wonder Woman in Wonder Woman 84. And, of course, this has been a very, this has been a very divisive announcement. You're not really going to notice the swords, not in the film anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. And then we've got some big Superman and Lois news. So where are we? So if I bring up the picture, and I'll be back in a minute to do that. Yes, yes, we have got episode titles of the first 5 episodes of Superman and Lois. And this is actually kind of interesting because episode 1 is called Pilot. And now, if you remember rightly, episode 1 of Smallville was called Pilot. So that's kind of exciting. Episode 2 is called Heritage. So this is going to be interesting. So this could be a really big Superman episode, which it should be, seeing the part of the title has Superman in it. Episode 3, The Perks of Not Being a Wallflower, probably a big Lois Lane episode. Episode 4, Haywire. And episode 5 sounds interesting, The Beacon. So it's going to be very, very interesting and exciting to see what kind of show Superman and Lois is ultimately going to be. Is it going to be the big, Superman show we are hoping for, or will it be another damp squid? I hope it's amazing. You know, they've got some good people working on it. They've got some, they've got a big hardcore cinematographer as well. Forgot what show or movie he's from, but I heard about it yesterday and very excited about that. So it looks like they're taking this series very seriously, and anything to do with Superman should be taken seriously. He's a beacon, he's an icon, and he should expect the greatest execution in cinematography, in writing, in everything. So we'll see how that all develops. But I do want you to comment down below, like, share and subscribe. Find me on Twitter @MoviesTVMad, and I will be back tomorrow with more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.